Hi Sume, so I make this halter neck dress with this pleat at the lower part of the dress. I don't know what to call this style actually. Anyways, I actually loved the way it looked on me. Yes, you can see now I'm from the excitement. Yes, and see how the back is looking. I just loved everything about this dress. So if this is something that you would like to learn, then you need to watch this video to the very end. My name is Veronica Adams Eze. Welcome to Vera Adams YouTube channel. So without wasting time, let's get started. So right here is the pattern paper I'll be using. I've gone ahead to mark the essential points on it. So right here, I'm going to make the neckline width 3.5 inches. And from there, I'm going to go ahead and bring out that halter neck shape design. So from the neckline width, I'm going to connect it down right into the armhole with the help of my curve rule. I'm going to come down by 2.5 inches. This is actually okay for me because I'm on a small size, but you can as well do 3 inches. So before I cut that out, I'll go ahead to open the pattern paper up because the pattern paper was actually on fold. So I'm going to determine the left and the right side. You can determine where you want how you want the style to fall, on the left or on the right side. So I wanted to start from the left. So from the left side of this pattern paper, I'm going to go down by 1.5 inches from the waistline, and I'm going to connect it right to the hip line, just as you're seeing me doing in a curved manner. You can use your curve rule if you want. So what I'm doing right here is connecting from one side of the pattern paper, left side, to the right side. That's from the left side on the waistline to the right side on the hip line. I hope you understand this. So I'm also using my marker pen so that it is more visible. Once this is done, I'll go ahead and extend the dart line to meet this hip line because I didn't initially mark that dart line to that point. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this out on the dart line. I want to close up the dart because for dresses like this, I really don't like the dart line showing on the fabric. So I want to close up the dart here. So you can as well not even add the dart initially on the pattern paper, but because I've already gone ahead to take measurements and also add that here, that's why I'm doing it. So if you are starting afresh, you can just decide to just do away with the darts. So I've gone ahead to close up the darts on both sides, and I'm cutting out that curved part. I'll actually go ahead to cut out the sides of this dress as well, then fold the paper back here so that we can cut out the neckline. So here is what I'm doing. I'm cutting it out as you can see me doing right here. So once I'm done, this is what it looks like after we're done closing up the darts and cutting the sides of the dress and also the neckline. So this is what we have. So once this is done, we can move on to the back. I've also gone ahead to draft out the basic points on the back. Right here, I'm going ahead to take the measurements. If you are not familiar with how to draft a basic bodice, I have tutorial on how to do that, so you can go and check previous videos. As you can see here, I've already gone ahead to add that to this back piece as well. But while I was taking the measurement for the waist, I didn't add the dart measurement. So I'm going to go ahead to add the 1 inch for the dart and connect everything together. Take note that I've also gone ahead to take out that back slope at the center back. But for more snatch at the waistline and to avoid any form of bulginess, I'm going to go ahead to take 1/2 inch on both sides of the waistline and connect it right. That's from the center back, just as I'm illustrating, right into the side back at the waistline. Kindly note that this is highly optional. I'm just doing a bit extra to avoid any form of bulginess. So now I can go ahead to close this part up. Just watch as I'm doing this. I'll go ahead to use a tape to hold this down. Once this is done, I can now go ahead to close up the waist dart as you're seeing me doing here. I'll close this up because of course I don't want a dart on the fabric. So if you want that to be seen on the fabric, you can leave it. So once this is done, I'll go ahead to bring in the front body so that we can actually trace out that shape that we had on the front piece. I don't want any irregularities, so I'm using the front piece to draft out the back piece so that everything aligns. There's no mistake whatsoever. So now we have the final curve on the back bodies. We can now go ahead to add zipper allowance to our pattern paper. I'm going to use 1 inch, so I'm going to add 1 inch from the top to the bottom around the center back region, just as you're seeing me doing here. Now that we're done with this zipper part, we can move on to the neckline and create the Halter neckline just as we did for the front bodies. We'll connect right from the neck width, which is also 3.5 inches, into the armhole region. For the back neck depth, we'll be using 1 inch and would extend this right into the zipper allowance. So once we're done with that, we create that shape that we have on the dress. And for us to achieve this, I came up by 1.5 inches from the chest line, and from that part I aligned my curve rule so that it gives me that shape. Yes, connecting it from that neck depth. Now that this looks like what I want, I can go ahead to cut it out. So now that we're done cutting the neckline for the back piece, this is what it looks like. I'll go ahead to bring in the front piece as well. Note that I purposely left the back piece uncut. That's that curvy part that we have on the front. I purposely left it. I'll tell you the reason as we go on with the tutorial. So here's the fabric that I'm going to be using. This is a crepe fabric of lightweight chili. So I have about 3 yards of this fabric. Yes. So now I'll go ahead to use this pattern paper to cut out on the fabric, and here's what I have the front piece and also the back pieces as well. For this tutorial, I won't be making use of lining. I'll be using this same fabric to cut out facing to use to turn the armhole area. What I'm doing right here is to follow the line for the zipper. I'm going to be using pins to hold that part down, and that is because I want to get the perfect curve for the back piece. So once I'm done pinning the zipper region down, I'm going to lay it flat as one piece, just as you're seeing right here. Then I'll bring in the front pattern, that's the front piece, and place it right side facing right side. This is to ensure that you don't have the curved part wrongly on the back piece. So just to be sure and to be for certainty, yes, that's the essence. So I'm going to go ahead to cut it out now that I am sure that this is how it's supposed to fall. So I've gone ahead to cut it out, and here's what it looks like. Here is the facing. I went ahead to cut out the facing for the front. I'll also do the same for the back as well. So once I'm done with this, we can start coupling these pieces together. Of course, as you can see, I went ahead to add seam allowance, and then of course 1/2 inch all around. So right here I have the fabric here. I have about 26 inches length, and the width is exactly 3 inches. So this is what I have. I actually went ahead to cut this part out before using the pattern paper to cut out the upper bodies. So right here, I've gone ahead to use the facing to tone out the armhole. Yes, the armhole area is the first part that we're going to use the facing to tone inside out. I've also gone ahead to do same for the front piece as well. So once that is done, I'm going to go ahead to hold the two pieces together. That's the front and the back. That is one piece of the back and the front. So I'm going to align them at the point in which I turned it with the facing. So I'm going to pin it right at that point so it aligns, and from there I'm going to continue to pin till I get to the hem of the dress. Once this part is concluded, I'll continue with the facing part, which I just did now. So I'll take this to the sewing machine and run a stitch down. I'll go ahead and repeat the same process for the other side. That is the second piece of the back and then the other side of the front. Aligning this at the point where we sew it to the facing, I'm going to also use the pin to hold it down all through till we get to the hem of the dress. Then continue also with the part of the facing, just as you're seeing me doing. I'll go ahead and run a stitch of 1 inch from top to bottom. Here is what it looked like after I was done stitching. That's the wrong side and here is the right side. So I've successfully stitched the two sides together. So once that is done, I'll go ahead to use the back facing to turn the back piece. I'll turn it around that edge in which we had that curve right till we get into the zipper allowance, just as you're seeing me pinning right here. So I'll go ahead and use half of an inch to stitch around till we get to the end of the facing. I'll repeat the same process on the other side as well. You can see how I'm using the chalk to illustrate how the sewing is going to be. So from the top right there till we get to the hem of the facing. Once I'm done with this, I'm going to go ahead to turn inside out and give it a good press. So moving on to the front piece, I realized that the neck that I cut or that I have at the end of the day, it's a bit wider than what I want, but anyways, no problem. I'm going to go ahead and pleat, have small pleat. I think I want the neckline reduced by 2 inches. So once I have what I want, then I think this 8 inches is fine. I'll then proceed to measure the neck for the back as well. So I'm starting from that 8 inches. I have 11 inches there. From 11 inches here, I have 14 inches. That means I have 14 inches for the neckline. That is without the side neck. Yes, because there's supposed to be a band sort of that will connect the sides. That's the left side and the right side of the neckline. So what I'm trying to do here is to cut out the band for the neckline, and this is going to be quite long because it's going to extend beyond the neckline such that we have a long rope to tie at the back. So I'm cutting it in a bias form. I'm actually folding the fabric in a triangular form. So I don't necessarily know how long I want it, but I think I have about 30 inches. So I'm going to go ahead to cut it out just as you're seeing me doing here. I actually want a width of about 2.5 inches. So I'm going to go ahead to cut that out. So that means I'll have 2 pieces of this. So I went ahead to join these 2 pieces together so that I have one long rope. So I have more than 60 inches in length here. So this part is a bit technical, so you need to pay rapt attention. So I'll go ahead to fold the band into 2 as you're seeing me doing, and then place it at the center of the front bodice. I'll go ahead to pin it till I get to the edge right here and place a notch on it right here. Once after the notch, I'm going to go ahead to measure 2 inches for the part of the neck as shown in the picture that you're seeing right here. You can mark 2.5 inches, but I went ahead to mark 2 inches. After that 2 inches, I'll go ahead and place another notch. And once I'm done with that, I'll connect to the right side of the back, just as you're seeing me doing here. Connect it to the neckline of the back. Then I'll go ahead to pin it till I get to the edge of the neckline as well. Once I get to the edge of the back neckline, I'm going to go ahead to place a notch to indicate the end of that part. From the end of that part, just as I did for the other side, I'm going to go ahead to mark 2 inches. This would also represent the side of the neckline as well. So from this point till the end of the rope, you can go ahead and close it up. So I'll go ahead and, we started this edge from the center front. So I'll go back to the center front and go ahead to start pinning till I get to the edge of the center. Place a notch just as I did for the other side. Go ahead to mark 2 inches for the side of the neck. Once I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead to place a notch on it again, and from that notched part, I'm going to connect it to the left side of the back, and then I'll go ahead to pin it down to the neckline of the other back piece, And from that point, once we get to the edge of this, I'll go ahead and place a notch to indicate the end of that neckline. From there, I'll still go ahead to mark 2 inches for the side. Once I'm done with that, I can now go ahead and place a notch right from that notch to the end of the rope. So go ahead and stitch it down right from that notch part till we get to the end of the rope. I'll go ahead to remove the pin so that it is easier to place right side facing the right side of this band. So this is what I'm doing. I'm making sure that it aligns at that notch part till we get to the end of the rope, which is also the band. So I decided to go ahead to curve it inwards to create that shape, because I don't want it straight, I want it curved as so. So now I'm done with sewing this part. I'll go ahead and repeat the same process for the other side as well. So I've gone ahead to do that. So I'm going to go ahead to turn the parts inside out so that we have it on the right side. Once I'm done with this side, I'll go ahead and do the other side as well. Once I'm done turning inside out, I'm going to go ahead to give it a good press. Now we can proceed with the other part of this band. So right here, I'll go ahead and stitch the band to the center front as well as the 2 back necklines. But for the part that I left 2 inches for the side of the neck, I'll go ahead and turn it inside out. So that part will be turned inside out. Since it does not have something to stand on, so this is what the neckline looks like. I went ahead to give it a good press so you can see the sides. So this is the 2 inches side. I also went ahead to attach the zipper at the back of the dress. As you can see, I would bring in the lower part of this this dress. But before I do that, I'll go ahead to measure what we have right from one side to the other side, and I think we have about 41 inches. So right here is the lower part that I had already gathered. I'm trying to also measure this so that we know how to go about it. At the end of the measurement, I realized we have about 39 inches, so I'll go ahead to adjust it so we have about 42 inches so that we can use half of an inch to join it on the side. So right here, I'll go ahead to bring in the lower part. I'll start on the side because I don't want the joining to stop at the back. So I want it to stop at the side. So if you want the joining to stop at the back, you start from the center back. So from the side, I'll go ahead to attach the gathered part to the upper bodice, right side facing right side. So I'm using pins to hold it down, then I'll take it down to my sewing machine and stitch it down and come back to show us what it looks like. So right here, I'm going to sew directly on the zipper. At this point, I was done stitching down. Here's what the upper piece, the band looks like. See how neat it's all looking to the edge. See how it's looking. For the part that we stitched down, that's the center front and the 2 back, you can go ahead to serge it because it will have the rough edges, but the other parts are completely closed up. So here's the down part, the lower part, and I've gone ahead to close it all up. Here's what the back part also looks like. Yes, I've also gone ahead to hem the lower part as well. So this is the wrong side and this is how it's looking. So I can go ahead to take this to my serger and just serge everything so that it's all looking very neat. So at this point, I am done. You can go ahead to tie the rope at the back in any style that you prefer. And now we've come to the end of this tutorial. I hope you found it useful. If you did, give it a thumbs up by clicking on the like button. And if you are yet to be subscribed to this channel, kindly do so. Do not hesitate to drop your questions in the comment section. If you have any, I'll be there to respond to you. Till I see you in my next one. Bye.